Good morning. Welcome to Locked In on Lockdown. I'm Alex Elaine.
I'm Jack Gerard.
And as always, bringing you that daily source of inspiration, motivation, actionable tips and advice to get your mind right and your day started with a bang. You know the drill. Jack, what have we got today?
Today we're talking about how important it is to be mindful of your social circle or the people who you spend your time with most.
Awesome. Let's switch things up a little bit today. Jack, you give us the kind of scene setter. So when you think about network, how important do you think it is? And how do you kind of think about curating the people that are around you?
It's incredibly important. And it's something that I think I took for granted in my younger years. The school that Alex and I went to was a school where we were surrounded by a lot of people who were consistently striving for greatness. And I subsequently moved away from that school down to Brighton, where I spent some time living down there. And it's not that the school that I subsequently went to was a bad school or anything like that, but it didn't have that same energy of people trying to do uncommon and abnormal things, and that being the baseline. And when you surround yourself with people who are innately that way, it will bring it out of you in turn. So the people that basically what I mean to say is the people that you surround yourself with, as you know, are going to have a huge impact on the person that you ultimately become and the amount of effort that you put into every single aspect of your life, to be honest. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, completely agree, by the way. I really see network as playing two roles. It's either one of the biggest enablers in your life and one of the biggest contributing factors to you being successful and driving outcomes, and, as you say, having that sense of energy to go and make things happen. But it can also be one of the biggest detractors. Because if you're surrounded by people who don't give you energy, who don't actually foster a progressive mindset and a progressive environment, actually you can find yourself getting taken down the opposite way and the opposite path. So I see it as critical, not optional, not something that you should think about, something that's critical. And I know there's a ton of different sayings about network, from your network is your net worth to you are the amalgamation of the 5 people that you surround yourself by. And I see a ton of value in all of those things. And so it starts to become a question of how can you become intentional about creating an environment and a team and a network around you that, of course, foster a progressive mindset. So, Jack, have you got any either tips or experiences of actually proactively fostering that type of network?
I do. I'll try and be as concise as possible because I definitely like to waffle. So the first one would be, with your pre-existing network, lead the way. So if you're trying to cultivate and foster a new type of thinking or a new way of behaving, then lead the way. Try and bring people into that process, and you'll see certain people will join you, other people they won't join you, and through that process you'll be able to pick this person, that person, blah 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 blah. The other thing that you can do, if you find yourself in an environment or in a circumstance where you are surrounded by people who don't leave you feeling inspired, or who are draining your energy or not facilitating you to become the best version of yourself, and this is something that I did when I was going through my struggles, was to leverage social media to the best of your ability. And what I would do is I would exclusively follow all the people I was trying to be like. So for example, with, say, the gym, I might pick a cohort of friends who have done really well in that aspect, in career or in relationships or in, self-esteem. I would just follow those people, and I would be very, very specific about only drawing what I could from them, those very specific behaviors, if that makes any sense. But also as well, they don't have to be people that it can be just general people who inspire you. But that is definitely one way you can leverage social media and the internet to your advantage. What about you, Alex? What do you think on this subject matter?
I'm going to answer your question. I just want to ask you one very quick follow on from what you said. What would you say to people who have maybe grown up with grown up within a certain circle, or they're following people on social media that they know and they know well, but actually with age they felt that they're pulling in one direction and the other person's pulling in the other? And what's your kind of almost quick advice to those people who say, I almost feel like I can't unfollow them or detach from them because I've known them so long, they're a friend?
I think there's a fantastic quote that came from Tupac, and I don't know it perfectly, but I will paraphrase it. And effectively what he said is, just because I no longer want you to sit at my table, it doesn't mean that I don't want you to eat. So we can both still be successful. Just because we're going in our own different directions now, it doesn't mean that I don't want you to do well. I've realized that I've got to go and do my thing. You clearly have your own plans of what it is that you want to accomplish in life. Regardless, putting any negative energy out there into the universe is only going to yield negative results. So, it's not necessarily that you have to cut ties, but you do have to understand when perhaps your goals don't align. And say, for example, you do have a friend who just likes to party a lot. That's fine. That's, after you've pulled like a 60, 70 hour week, that's the person that you're going to call up, because you're going to have a great time with them. But just be very mindful of the fact that not everybody can play every role in your life. Sometimes you have to categorize people.
No, that's really helpful. That's really, really helpful. I think for me, again, couple of strands. So when it comes to the concept that I just touched on trying to get people or move people along your journey that are already in your network, I almost see this 3-stage process to an extent of empathy, educate, and then convert.
Okay.
A lot of the time, to get people to get on your wavelength, you need to demonstrate that you understand their worldview. I understand where you're at, but this is what I'd love to see. And then educating them and actually the benefits that maybe you've experienced from changing your network or changing the content that you consume on a daily basis. And then you work with them to potentially bring you on your journey. Because as I say, there could be some people that are of real value. It could be family members that you don't almost want to leave behind. So if you go through that process, sometimes there's an opportunity to help people realize a new worldview from collaborating with you. When it comes to actually adjusting your own circle, again, I think it becomes by, first of all, being intentional about what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it. I want to change the people around me because I want to either upskill in a particular way. I want to shift my mind to being progressive. You need to understand that so that you can be clear about who you're seeking out and what type of energy you're trying to seek out. And then you need to get yourself in that mix and that ecosystem. So that could be as simple as sending a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram to that person who you see it from, who you see that energy from. Hey, just want to jump on a call with you, just understand a bit more about the way you think or the way you operate. And you'll be amazed at how many people will actually respond to that and entertain that conversation. And that person then opens up many more doors to who they know and their friends and their circle. So next thing you know, you're invited to events, you're putting your face in the place. In this climate, it might be that you're invited to a video conferencing party, but whatever the case is, you're putting your face in the place and yourself in the mix. So they're kind of some of my tips and my guidance. Jack, if you were going to draw everything that you've said into one key actionable point, what is it?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Know where you're going. And then, when you've got the roadmap, then you need to find people who've walked the path before you and just get involved and ask them for direction. Basically, that's it. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And for me, it's just put your face in the place. And what I mean by that is be proactive. Don't wait for anything to land on your lap. Pick up the phone, send that message, and find a way to actually get yourself in the mix for whatever circle it is that you aspire to be in. So on that note, we're going to wrap up. Stay locked in.
See you next time. Take care.